county court and tried to arrest a judge. The group, who call themselves the People's United Community, say the action was intended to shake the foundations of the establishment. 6 demonstrators were arrested.
I'm in control, you're in control, we're in control, they're in control, I'm in control, you're in control, we're in control, they're in control. Arrest that judge! Arrest that judge!
2 minutes in a history book is all the information you will ever need to figure out that a few wealthy people own the planet and it's run for their benefit. In fact, you don't even need to read that history book. I could just show you the pictures. Here you go. Here's the pictures from the history book. Here's them locking people up who didn't do what the government said. There's a big problem in the world, and this is what we're going to do about it. Why don't you join us or shut the fuck up?
And there's courts of justice. How many people in this room suffered at the hands of the courts of justice where injustice is actually happening? Even the highest court in the land is a corporation, the House of Lords. We believe that the courts are issuing us justice. We believe that we're going to get a lawful trial.
That's a very good question. It's all a bit hush-hush at the moment, waiting to see exactly what we've got to do and what these umbrellas are for.
Could you give me the name of your tailor before you go?
Yes. I think you'll find him in Asda. George something he's called, I think.
What we've been asked to tell you is, could you possibly please form in groups of like 10 or 20 with someone who we can hand some leaflets to.
Hello, I don't really need a loud hailer, but I've got one here if you'd like this.
What we'd like to do, or what we've been asked you could do please, is to form in sort of groups of 10 to 20, and then when you hear the whistle, make your way to the county court. That's basically all I can tell you at the moment.
Is that a real ship, is it?
Right, yeah, that was a ship I was on 67 years ago. I don't know whether it'll pick that up or not, will it? I'm on the right there, the middle of those 3, the sinking of the German battleship Scharnhorst. The finest, bravest, most feared battleship or ship of any navy during World War II. And I was there right in the middle of that. I'm not proud of it, I was only a lad, 18-year-old at the time, and I played my very small part in killing 1,867 of the bravest men in the world, the crew of the German battlecruiser Scharnhorst. I'm not proud of it. It's a tragedy that all those men, British and German, died in vain.
For a lie.
For a lie, yeah.
And the members of Parliament are a company. Gordon Brown is a company. David Cameron is a company. And this one I like. The Labour Party trade as Alistair Darling MP. The reason they trade with Alistair Darling MP is because Alistair Darling is a diplomat. That trading name has diplomatic status. That means they can bend things and do things that you don't know about.
I was proud to be British until the age of 70.
Acts of Parliament become statutes, primary legislation. In turn are enacted enforced by statutory instruments which are secondary legislation.
Not the land for which I had fought in World War II.
Council tax is a statutory instrument enacted on the 1st of April 1993 under the primary legislation, the Local Government Finance Act of 1992.
Not the land for which my brave young shipmates had given their lives.
But when we look at a statutory instrument, we find it's a created, written, legal contract.
Got many shocks as I learned that Britain was not the land I had always believed it to be.
This is what politics is about. This is what you believe to be the people representing you. Council tax is a statutory instrument enacted on the 1st of April 1993 under the primary legislation, the Local Government Finance Act of 1992. When we look at a statutory instrument, we find it's a created, written, legal contract. It's not law. Where does it say it's law? Can you see it?
Look up Quisling and you'll see who he was. And there were Quislings waiting in Britain when Hitler failed. But no tyranny was ever overturned without those prepared to give their liberty and their life.
Yes. It's given the force of law, which means it will apply to you if you consent. What does the word consent mean? Exactly. So what happens when you don't agree? It isn't law.
Ah, the government. It loves you and wants to keep you safe and well. It even wants to make paying taxes, fines, and court costs easier for you. How? Well, you'll need to meet your straw man. He was born the same day you were. He looks like you, has the same name, and lives in your house, but you never knew he existed. You will have even paid his parking tickets or taxes. The worst part? He's been dead from day one.
By its own definition, it only applies to a person and not a man or a woman. How many people in the audience today think they're a person?
From every birth certificate, a legal personality, or legal fiction, is created with the same name to confuse little old you into thinking it's you. So there is a human you and a paper you, or as it's commonly known, a straw man. So when it seems like government officials, court clerks, or the police are speaking English, they aren't. They're speaking legalese, designed to make you agree to verbal and written contracts without even knowing about it, all spun from Black's Law Dictionary. For example, when the police say, "Do you understand?" you'll say, "Yes." What they are really saying is, "Do you stand under our authority?" Oops-a-daisy, you just created a verbal contract with them. Oh, you clever government.
The United Kingdom is a corporation. Now, up till February of last year, it was United Kingdom PLC. It's dissolved and they've never, ever published their accounts. If you want to check that out, go on Companies House. On Dun & Bradstreet, they're now registered as United Kingdom Corporation Limited. Any corporation has employees. The employees are not just civil servants, they're all of you, every one of you. If you have a national insurance number, that means you too are an employee. Company policy of this corporation requires you as an employee to pay tax, follow all the legislative rules of that corporation, in this case, statutes.
We're doing it for the human race, aren't we? For those that are children now, we have a duty to make sure they've got a better world. I've always wanted a better world, anyway, a human world. Cooperation is far better than confrontation, and that is what we really should be concentrating on. These are t-shirts I make, print myself, my own little designs. I'm doing my bit, spread the message, get us a humane world.
I was there 3 weeks ago when Roger was in the court, and the judge was repeatedly asked, "Are you here, sir, under your oath of office?" And he said he would not declare whether he was or he wasn't. He prevaricated, he went and wandered off on different subjects. For half an hour we tried to get him to say whether he was there under his oath of office. The reason being very simple: under common law, if he was there, his oath is there to basically oversee common law, in which case the whole thing would be thrown out because the whole thing is a statute and it's fraudulent and everything else. If he'd said, "No, I'm not here under my oath of office," then he was just like an ordinary person, like any one of us, in which case he had no jurisdiction over anybody in that room. So it's a very simple case. The man has got to say whether he's there under his oath of office. Whichever way, we win.
So what do you propose to do then?
Well, I believe there are some there who are wanting to uphold common law, and if that means arresting somebody, could be the person impersonating a judge, who knows, then so be it. Common law has to prevail today. Common law prevails at all times over statute rules of society. And unfortunately, the friends in uniform and the people who run the courts, who are private businesses, they're all corporatized courts, they are the ones who are against common law. They are the ones making sure that common law does not prevail. We, as honest citizens, have to see that common law prevails. So we have to take whatever appropriate action, peaceful action, to make sure that common law prevails.
I am the third-party representative for Mr. Roger Hayes.
Are you Mr. Roger Hayes?
No, you may address me as Roger.
I will call you Mr. Hayes.
The court is required to address me as I request.
I will take note that Mr. Roger Hayes is not represented in court.
You will have to also note that the council is not represented in court.
I can see that the council has representation in the court.
If council has representation in court, then so does Mr. Roger Hayes. The council is a corporation, and so is Mr. Roger Hayes.
Mr. Roger Hayes is not a corporation.
Yes, it is.
It is a person.
A person is a corporation.
No, it is not.
Define person. Then let me do it for you.
When you get a bill, It's sent to you, but belongs to your straw man, not you. That's why bills, fines, and summons start with Mr., Mrs., or Ms. Sometimes you'll see your surname in capitals, just like on a gravestone. That's because your straw man is dead, and just a silly piece of paper, created before you could comprehend or even consent to it. When you go to court, you represent your straw man, so you, the human, take on any costs, fees, taxes, and fines involved for the straw man. The human you doesn't even need to pay them. But you made a contract with the court by appearing on behalf of your legal personality or straw man, just like the government knew you would. Confused?
As in any company, if you break the rules, you will be disciplined under that company's legislation. The police of the United Kingdom Corporation are all companies too, run for profit. Because that's what companies basically do. And who are they making profit for? Directors, shareholders, they all want a profit. And where does that profit come from? The corporate policy enforcement officers, their job is to enforce the rules of the corporation. Courts of the United Kingdom Corporation are all companies run for profit as well. If you break the rules, you will get an invite, a summons to their place of business to discuss your punishment. Even the highest court in the land is a corporation, the House of Lords. We believe that the courts are issuing us justice. We believe that we're going to get a lawful trial. There is a massive difference between lawful and legal. A policeman, a human being, his duty under common law of this land is to serve and protect every individual in this land. They must uphold the common law, but they have a fiction attached to them called a police officer. Now, if you look at the word officer, it comes from the corporate world. What's a CEO? Chief Executive Officer.
People are rebelling lawfully and peacefully, and the key bit that's started this is that we now know that statute law or administrative courts are being held. Those courts are unlawful under common law, and so we are seeing people penalised in court for parking fines or council tax fines or any of these other statute law offences which are actually unlawful. And it's vitally important that we wake the majority of the British people up to the fact that their country is being destroyed, and the people destroying it are our own MPs in Parliament. It doesn't matter what party they come from. We know that Cameron, Brown, Blair, Clegg, Miliband and others have committed treason, and the time is coming when the people of this country are going to bring them to book.
Campsite Earth. There are 100 tents. Yeah? And 10 tents at the top of the campsite own you. They own the field, they own the tents, they own the people, and your only purpose is to keep them fat and fucking happy.
All we would stress today and in future is that the way to do it is lawfully and peaceably, but lawful rebellion is our right, because inside this building is a kangaroo court which believes it can extract council tax from a legal fiction.
You are you, alive and made of flesh and blood. Your straw man or legal personality is a piece of paper created from your birth certificate. And you think it's you. What a silly Billy.
We're tired of being treated like objects. We are people, we are individuals, and we want our freedoms.
We've got rights, we should be heard. I'm a great-grandmother going to be shortly, and I've got grandchildren, and I want a decent place. I don't want corruption as bad as it is in the higher places that we've got now.
Certain people are missing today. BBC, ITV, the Murdoch Empire. Why do you think that is?
The answer is very simple. We know that the BBC, with Patton in charge, is an absolute propaganda machine, and the rest of the British media and newspapers are controlled by a very small group of people, driven by our corrupt politicians and the fraudulent bankers.
I'm just fed up of government and authorities finding new and inventive ways to take my hard-earned money off me.
Against the education cuts.
Different taxes, different fines.
All the taxes that are going up, any opportunity it is to get more money off you.
Are you some kind of subversive, militant, pinko, Trotskyite lefty?
No, I'm just a great-grandmother with a strong sense of duty to most people.
Now you go and speak to an audience, they are absolutely hungry for you to tell them what's happening. The parties have been infiltrated, We need independent people who are prepared to stand up for their country.
So I want them to grow up into a world that's peaceful, in our own nation and fair.
There's a lot of forelock tugging going on. We all know our place. We just want a job and a television, a cold beer, and we want our shit to flush away when we press the plunger.
It's absolutely wrong to look at the police and say they're all bad. That's not the case.
We don't want freedom. If we wanted freedom, we'd have taken it a long time ago. Most of us are apathetic, conditioned slaves.
But they're worried about their jobs, they're worried about their families. And we need to ask them why they are not arresting the politicians that we know at the moment are committing treason.
Yeah, I've got it all. Any weight on that one? People in China. You're going down, mate. So the police are using China. Excuse me, mate. What happened here?
This guy pushed into me and I fell over in my plastic cap and I broke my replacement hat. You're in trouble.
You're going down.
Wow, look at the black umbrellas, isn't that fantastic? We are absolutely at full capacity in the court now, it's absolutely jammers, and we're being as orderly and disorderly as we can in there. Roger's ready to go, we're all set to do what we need to do here today. What we're going to do is we're going to keep sending out reports of what's going on at sort of 10-minute, 5-minute intervals, and somebody's going to yell up here with the megaphone and tell you what's going on and what's happening in the court. And obviously if we achieve what we set out to achieve today, then just give us your support, give us your cheers, we know you're out here. The constables here don't want any trouble, we don't want any trouble with the constables. They're doing a good job, you guys are doing a fantastic job. It humbles me and I am so proud of you. Thank you very much.
I'm obliged to arrest you for contempt of court.
And the children, you know, their education is important, and it's the same thing.
Look, that's the public building, this. There's arresting people in there. They've been served the papers.
The judges have been arrested.
The judges have been arrested.
Idea what this is all about, okay? I do know that right now you all are inciting an affray.
An affray?
Yes.
Can you define affray?
Look it up, I don't have time to.
Well, then you've got no authority to say that.
You need to relax. Sir.
EU court must not usurp British law, says one of UK's most senior judges. The European Union's Court of Human Rights, also known as the Strasbourg Court, is busy usurping British law and needs to be stopped.
dog has just bit me. I was only walking past and he bit me.
Arrest the judge. Don't work against us.
Can I take your name, please? What you should do? It's good for the side and pavement. No.
This is a public building.
Can I have your details, sir?
Yes, you can.
Which is?
I'll tell you on the pavement.
No, tell me here.
No.
I'm being manhandled out.
Well, can you just tell me what your name is? What are you pushing me for?
Well, because I was trying to issue a summons to these police officers to do their duty under their oath.
Inspector Paul.
And they're guilty of mistreason because they have been refusing to accept the summonses that we have been issuing in the name of the people.
You're based in Birmingham. Can I come in and see you tomorrow, please?
No.
We remain an independent nation with its own legal system, evolved over centuries of constitutional struggle and pragmatic change. Let the British people not say that they were never warned.
What is the legal precedent for having a dog in court?
Lord Hoffman warned that the Strasbourg court is now overruling senior British courts in areas which, he says, human rights are at best secondary issues.
I was manhandled out. I was thrown out and I was doing nothing illegal. It shocks me that we're living in a police state and that in fact they can manhandle somebody out when all they're doing is trying to issue a lawful document.
It's happened to you before?
No.
Will it happen again?
It will happen more and more frequently. It's going to take off across the country.
Constables, this court has been seized under an ancient law in this country that exists in law today called Magna Carta. Article 61 says that we have the right to arrest the judge who doesn't provide his oath, and the Queen will back us up on that because it's in the Magna Carta, that's still law, and the article says we have the right to seize a court where we deem that court to be unlawful.
Amen.
That is what's happened today, and you are officers of the common law, and if you do not respect the common law, which is greater than legal legislation every time, if you read the law books, then you are in breach of the peace yourselves.
So it looks like we're going to block the door. So, in fact, there's obviously loads of people that do that.
Are you policing by consent today, sir? Listen, all I'm trying to do is trying to get everyone safe and well away from here.
Stand down, boy, that's the end of it. How many coppers are you going to need?
And, in fact, it is alleged that they wouldn't allow his witnesses or his documents, and they trumped up false documents from the council. In other words, it was a stitch-up, and this is treason. So he was being retried today, and he attempted to arrest the judge on a charge of treason under the Magna Carta Chapter 61, where the common people have a right to be judged properly and not stitched up. All the officers who should have accepted the summonses that we've been trying to serve on them have refused to accept the summonses, which is in itself a crime. And so we're basically taking their numbers. So when this goes further, we'll be able to basically name names of people who've committed a crime. At the moment, everybody is deeply upset about the EU and all these unlawful directives that are being rubber-stamped by the politicians who are collaborating with Brussels. And this is unlawful under common law because the British people have not given their consent to be ruled from Brussels.
The EU court now considers itself as the equivalent of the Supreme Court of the United States, laying down a federal law of Europe. Interference on issues such as the right to silence, the use of hearsay evidence, which sounds about as far from human rights as you could get, showed the basic flaw in the system. I do not suggest belief that the United Kingdom's legal system is perfect, but I do argue that detailed decisions about how it could be improved should be made in London, either by our democratic institutions or by judicial bodies which, like the Supreme Court of the United States, are integral with our own society and respected as such. The legal identity of the EU itself will be fully recognized if the Lisbon Treaty is eventually ratified and implemented.
Arrest that judge! Arrest that judge! Arrest that judge! Arrest that judge!
We have police brutality here today. Officer abusing their powers. Remain my phone, officer, please.
Sometimes come this way. And tomorrow brings us another dream, knocking on that door. It's
It's a dream we've had so many times before. Today,
you've done a brilliant job today. I think it's clear. Well done, everybody. Is there a big cheer for the police?
Hip hip.
They will go back and research, no doubt, and hopefully they will see that what we're doing is lawful and what they're doing may not be.
We almost arrested a quite slippery treasonous judge, but he got away, the little fish. We are not against the police. We need to win hearts and minds with these guys, okay? And because when you take away the uniform, they are exactly the same as us. They are in the same position as us. They have to pay that bloody council tax. They have kids and families, etc. So we need to reach them on a different level. I've been in discussion with the sergeant and the chief inspector here, and obviously they can't make any comments right now. However, we're going to talk further, and that's the first step to a dialogue process.
And if you talk to people in France or Holland or Germany, they're seeing the same things happen, because we've got some very dangerous people trying to govern the country.
If there has been 500 or 600 people turn up to this, a bankruptcy hearing today, and they proceed to law with the people that have been arrested, I know this crowd's going to be triple the damn size. I'm going to go for a drink. If you guys want to join me, let's go for a drink. Let's keep it peaceful, let's calm. And if you see a constable, give him a hug. I know Charlie would if he was here.
Drugs, music, fun, sex, everything that we need that should be free is sold to us by them so they can make even more money off our backs while we work for them, destroying our only home in the universe.
When the people come together, we are one force.
That's me kissing a tranny on television.
If we're going to be ruled by these courts and these laws, we want them to be applied properly.
This man on my right enforces statutes on you. This man protects you. But the trouble is, the boys in blue don't know the difference.
All I can say is it was a fantastic turnout.
We almost arrested a quite slippery treasonous judge, but he got away, the little fish.
It's been an absolutely historic day.
Once again I seem to be out on a limb, entwined in this web of mine. As further deeper into the abyss reminds me of all the things that I miss. Seems so wonderful to be on the east side.
activists have stormed into Birkenhead County Court and tried to arrest a judge. The group, who call themselves the People's United Community, say the action was intended to shake the foundations of the establishment. 6 demonstrators were arrested.
What was it like holding the copper?
Great, it's great, that's what we're here for. We are the love police. And that is what we do. We love the police. We love the police to try and wake them up to the fact that they're being brainwashed and compartmentalised.